your chance, beat it now.今目覚めるほど戦う遺伝子 Wake up 一か八か手が外れる
What if Bardock was able to escape the explosion of Planet Vegeta and was able to escape to Vampa? Today we dive right back into this what if, and if you missed the first part, it will be linked in the description below. We continue this tale when Bardock and Broly say goodbye to the Yardruts, as they would both find Earth and lock onto the highest power level they could find. Bardock had expected this to be Kakarot's power level, but when they would arrive, it wasn't his son, it was a Namekian. Piccolo was shocked by this. He looked so much like Goku. Goku, is that you? I swear if it is, I'm gonna kill you. Piccolo then dashed at him, but Bardock grabbed his hand and threw it back. Look, I don't want no trouble, okay? I'm just looking for my son Kakarot. Have you heard of him? Piccolo was still in shock. He threw away his punch like it was nothing. No, I haven't. Why don't you get out of here? You're interrupting my training. Bardock nodded his head and told Broly just to lock onto the second strongest power level he could sense, and they would go from there. The two would arrive at a house. Alright, Broly, I'll be right back. He is close by. Broly would nod and wait for the return of his master. As Bardock would continue looking for his son, he would feel a giant power spike nearby. Intrigued by this, Bardock would instant transmission to it, hoping it was his son. Bardock was met by a man in orange that resembled him and also a young child, with a frantic woman shoving him out the way. Bardock couldn't believe it. He resembled him so much there was no way he could not be his son. Then he also noticed the young child have a tail too. Kakarot? At that point, Bardock knew it was his son and would explain to Goku who he is and how he got here. Goku at first couldn't believe it, but even he couldn't deny the similarities. Well, why have you come now after all this time? Bardock would explain who Frieza is and how he destroyed the Saiyan race and how Bardock went from planet to planet trying to come get him. Bardock would then plead for his son to join him and Broly against this battle, with Chi-Chi being reluctant at first because of them being new parents. She winds up agreeing after some convincing. Bardock was thrilled and took Goku to meet Broly and explained to him about Raditz, that they were gonna get him next, as he is most likely with Frieza. Bardock would gauge his son's power level to see if he would even survive the fight with Frieza. As thought, Goku was way too weak. They would need to train him and get him stronger for the fight coming up, and even maybe this time, this will let Bardock be able to tap into the wrathful form. As time would go on, Goku would train with Bardock and Broly. Broly would also show Goku the wrathful form. Goku was so intrigued by this as he wanted it for himself. But Bardock quickly put that to rest, as he would most likely need a tail form to be able to access this. Goku would at first be disappointed as Kami removed his tail permanently until he thought of something. Goku would start chuckling and said he would be back in a little. In the meantime, Bardock wanted to pursue this transformation but didn't have a chance to practice it that often since full moons didn't come but once a month. Bardock would then remember that the elites could use a technique that allowed them to create an artificial moon and be able to transform at will. Maybe he could use the same technique as well. After training for a while, the sky turned dark all of a sudden, and not much longer the sky was clear once again. Bardock and Broly were both confused by this but just continued their training, as not much longer Bardock was able to create an artificial moon, but before launching it they were met by Goku again, but this time he had a tail. Bardock and Broly were amazed by it. How did you get your tail back? Goku would explain to them what the Dragon Balls are. Bardock nodded and remembered the Namekian they encountered when they first arrived. Bardock would then work with Goku to try to help him control his Zaro form, and then soon they would begin on trying to access the wrathful form. Not much longer, Goku and Bardock were able to access it and would begin training with it. Goku and Bardock can use the wrathful form, but only when they use their artificial moon or have access to a moon. A year would go by, and they were ready to head off and get Raditz and finally end Frieza. Throughout this time, Broly can control his form a little bit longer while Goku can use it, the instant transmission, and create an artificial moon. Broly would also be the strongest fighter they have, with Bardock their second best and Goku was being a little behind Bardock. The team would soon head out and be brought to some random planet. Bardock, Broly, and Goku would only see destruction happening, but before anything would be said, Goku would fly off screaming, "I can't let this happen." Bardock and Broly would stick together trying to find Raditz. Vegeta is then seen blasting multiple places at a time while chuckling until he is met with Goku coming at him at full force. Vegeta was able to get out the way thanks to his scouter going off, but Goku was putting Vegeta on the fence, not letting him even attack once. But Bardock and Broly were met by a familiar face that Bardock has seen before. My son. Raditz was shocked. He couldn't move or even speak, but before anything was said or done, Raditz quickly turned off his scouter so nothing would be picked up on. Father, is that you? Bardock would just nod after explaining to Raditz why they're there and what had happened. Raditz would join, and probably Prince Vegeta and Nappa, too, Raditz told them. They would soon finally realize Goku was battling someone. In a flash, the group would teleport to it and realize it was Prince Vegeta who was fighting him, and Goku was beating him. Raditz was so proud of the warrior his brother came to be. But before it could go on any longer, Bardock would stop the two and give Vegeta a hand motion to turn off his scouter. Vegeta at first was enraged by this until he had learned that they were Saiyans too. Intrigued by this, Vegeta turns it off. They would then explain to Vegeta their plan for killing Frieza. Vegeta would then realize that this was their best hope at beating Frieza, and with Frieza gone, no one in the world could stop him. Vegeta would then agree and get Nappa ready to head off to Frieza Planet 79, as that most likely would be the planet he would be on, as they would soon arrive at the planet with having Nappa, Raditz, and Broly stay back and clear everyone out, while Bardock, Goku, and Vegeta would take care of Frieza. They would have Broly stay back in this case as they want to keep him as a last resort. Vegeta would also refuse to stay back as he wants to be the one that ends Frieza. Frieza's soldiers don't stand a chance against them, especially with Broly helping them. Frieza would then be met by the three Saiyans. I should have known this day was going to happen. Oh well, looks like I must exterminate the rest of these monkeys. Frieza would then exit his chair ready to fight. Goku, Bardock, and Vegeta would then go after Frieza, with Frieza having a good upper hand. Well, you know, this is only my first form, and you pathetic monkeys barely seem to be able to keep up with me. Bardock would then chuckle and announce to Frieza that they have a transformation. Bardock would then launch an artificial moon. That is our form, you monkeys call it, right? Wrong, Frieza. We have been able to evolve that power and harness it in our base form. Vegeta was amazed by this. He would too want this power for himself. Goku and Bardock would then enter their wrathful forms and go after Frieza, landing blow after blow against him. Frieza, caught off guard by this, would then transform into his second form. Goku and Bardock were shocked by this and could barely keep up with Frieza, and now in a split second, Frieza would knock Vegeta out cold and throw him away, and then would soon go after Bardock and Goku, landing blow after blow again, leaving the father-son duo extremely injured on the ground. But before Frieza had a chance to finish them off, he was interrupted by Broly. Raditz and Nappa would take Bardock and Goku away. Not wasting any time, Broly would start fighting Frieza, landing good blows on him. Frieza, in a panic, decided to transform into his third form, giving Broly a fighter that could finally match against him. While Bardock and Goku eat a senzu bean, Bardock explains that Broly can't continue this fight, as that if he goes too far, that they might all be in danger, that he would go berserk. Nappa and Raditz would then fly off to try to find Vegeta to give him a senzu bean, while Bardock explains the fusion dance to his son, that this could be a way they could defeat him now. Goku would nod and have Bardock teach him. Broly would soon once again get the upper hand on Frieza, leaving him with no choice but to transform into his final form. But unknown to Frieza, Broly would soon transform as well, going into his wrathful form. Frieza at this point would be getting ragdolled by Broly until the pair were met by a bright light and a new fighter appearing. You can go now, Broly. I got this covered. Broly would then exit his wrathful form and leave the battle. Who the hell are you now? Me? Well, I am Baruto, and I am here to end you. The two would soon go into their wrathful form and begin to fight Frieza, and since the fight with Broly took a lot out of Frieza, they can gain the upper hand on him. Then with one final Kamehameha blast, the fusion ends Frieza. This is for the Saiyan race. This is for Guinea. The two would soon defuse, and then the group was ready to head back, and even offered Vegeta and Nappa to come. Vegeta would be willing to go so he can get this wrathful form for himself. But down beneath the rumble, Frieza would remain alive, but barely holding on. Well, this is where we are going to leave things at for now. I wanted to also thank everyone for all the love and support the first part has been getting. It means a lot to me. If y'all want a part 3 to this what if, hit that like button, and until the next one.